Hi class! Welcome back. Now, we are going to have another new lesson, and that is Sensation Part 3. In our previous presentations, we were able to discuss the meaning of sensation and its body parts, including and its sense organs. Now we are going to continue, and this time we are going to have Sensation Part 3. Let's go to the next page. Okay, now let's talk about gustation. Gustation is the sense that we have in our sense organ, mouth specifically, and of course the tongue. Let's talk further. The sensation of taste is not only limited to our tongue. Our mouth also gives us that sense of taste. So we have bumps on our tongue called papillae. Taste buds are located on the papillae. They're actually all over the mouth. So the bumps on our tongue is what we call the papillae. Papillae, inside the papillae, we have the taste buds. But the taste buds are actually all over our mouth. So that includes our they call this the walls of our mouth. It has also taste buds. Your tongue and the roof of your mouth are covered with thousands of tiny taste buds. So our tongue gives us different taste kinds of taste, but also the insides of our mouth actually helps with it. When you eat something, the saliva in your mouth breaks down your food. This causes the receptor cells located in your taste buds to send messages through sensory nerves to your brain. Your brain then tells you what flavors you are tasting. So thanks to our saliva, it does not only break down the food, but it also helps the receptor cells to send those broken food into messages like to our brain. And of course, our brain will react and will give us the different tastes rather. Okay, so again, the receptor cells are the one who send impulses to our brain, and then our brain will send it back to us to give the specific taste that we eaten. So there are 5 basic tastes. We have the sweet, sour, salty, bitter, and umami. Alright, so I believe that umami is it's actually one of the biggest part of our it covers the biggest part of our tongue, okay, and it actually focuses on the taste of broth-like, and if I'm not mistaken, okay, so it tastes like the broth-like or meaty-like taste, okay. So that is what umami is, okay. So all right, so again, that's sweet, sour, salty, bitter, and umami. Now let's go to the next page. All right, so here is an image of our tongue. So as you can see here, the most top part will consist of the bitter taste. Next to it is we have the salty, and then the sour, and at the middle we have the umami, and then at the tip we have the sweet. So this part of the tongue actually tastes most of those parts. However, of course, because of the taste buds around our mouth, that's the reason why we taste. Like for example, if we eat something that is salty, we feel that everything in our mouth feels just salty, okay. But this very this very parts where the salty is located are the ones who gets the saltiest part. Okay, so now let's continue. Next, our last and not the least sense is the tactile. Tactile pertains to the sense organ, or our sense organ, skin. So skin, the largest organ of our body. Okay, again, as you can see from the top, the very top of our heads until the very bottom of our feet, we have the skin, because of course the skin is the largest organ in our body. Okay, it stretches as we grow up as well. All right. Okay, so performs many important biological functions while also providing much of what is known as sensual pleasure. So skin actually has, since it is the biggest, it also have a lot of receptor cells. And this receptor cells gives the brain different signals, okay, from the different parts of our body, because of course our body has its different functions as well. So yes, especially on the external part. So because of this, the receptor cells gives a lot of different signals to our brain. So most of it, I mean, the signals coming from the external world to our body are called the sensual pleasure. Our sense of touch is controlled by a huge network of nerve endings and touch receptors in the skin, known as the somatosensory system. So in the tactile, we have what we call the somatosensory system, which consists of nerve endings and touch receptors, and this is in our skin. Okay, so the somatosensory system, this system is responsible for all the sensations we feel: cold, hot, smooth, rough, pressure, tickle, itch, pain, vibrations, and more. So this somatosensory system is the one that, of course, let us feel all the sensations that we feel from the external world. So the skin has 3 layers. Oh, all right. My apologies, the picture moved. So you have the epidermis, the dermis, and the hypodermis. The epidermis pertains to the outer layer. The dermis is at the middle, or the intermediate layer. And also we have the hypodermis, which is the deep to the dermis of skin. So the picture below shows its division. As you can see, the dermis has the biggest part, and then we also have the subcutaneous as the smallest part. Oh, yeah, all right. So now let's go to the next page. Now, epidermis is composed of the keratinized, stratified, squamous epithelium. It is made of 4 or 5 layers of epithelial cells, depending on its location in the body. It does not have any blood vessels within it. Okay, and it's called the avascular. All right. So the epidermis does not contain any blood vessels in it. Sometimes it is 4 layers, or sometimes it's 5 layers. It depends on which body part it is located. Okay, so since it does not have any blood vessels, the epidermis is what we call the avascular. It's part of the avascular system in our body. So skin that has 4 layers of cells is what we called, or is referred to as thin skin. From deep to superficial, these layers are the stratum basale, stratum spinosum, stratum granulosum, and stratum corneum. So if there are, the epidermis consists of 4 to 5 layers, depending on which body part it is located. So those body parts that has 4 layers are called thin skin. So it is composed from the deepest. We have the stratum basale, stratum spinosum, stratum granulosum, and the most superficial, or the outer part, is what we call the stratum corneum. Okay, so that's again for the 4 layers of cell, that is the thin skin. Most of the skin can be classified as thin skin. All right, so uh, most of our body parts is composed of only a thin skin. However, we also have the thick skin. Thick skin is found only on the palms of the hands and the soles of the feet. It has 5th layer called stratum lucidum, located between the stratum corneum and stratum granulosum. So we also have the thick skin, which composed of 5 layers. Okay, so it can only be found at our palms and of course at our feet. So this it has an additional layer called stratum lucidum. So it is between the stratum corneum, which is the outer part, and the stratum granulosum. And now we have the dermis. Again, the dermis can be found in the middle, and it has the biggest portion. So the dermis might be considered the core of the integumentary system. Derma means skin, as distinct from the epidermis, which is upon or over, and hypodermis, which is below. So like what I've mentioned a while ago, the dermis can be found at the middle, and it is the skin. Okay, it is above the epidermis and below. I'm sorry. It is my apologies. It is below the hypodermis. Epidermis rather. It is below the epidermis and above the hypodermis. All right. Okay, let's go to the next page. So the dermis, it contains blood and lymph vessels, nerves, and other structures such as hair follicles and sweat glands. The dermis is made up of 2 layers of connective tissue that compose an interconnected mesh of elastin and collagenous fibers produced by fibroblasts. So in the epidermis, like what I've mentioned a while ago, it is an avascular, meaning there are no blood found in that layer of the skin. The dermis, however, here it contains everything. We have the blood, the vessels, the nerves, and then the structures like the follicles and the sweat glands. Also, it is composed of 2 layers of connected tissues, elastin and collagenous fibers. So these are produced by the fibroblasts. And lastly, we have the hypodermis, which is the very lower part of the skin. Okay, so the hypodermis, also called the subcutaneous layer or superficial fascia, is a layer directly below the dermis and serves to connect the skin to the other underlying fascia or fibrous tissues of the bones and muscles. So the hypodermis is the one that connects the dermis to the muscles, to the tissues in our body. So this is actually a very thin layer. So if you were able, or if you are cooking, okay, so you can see this as something that is transparent, okay, because its main purpose, or it's actually it's only a layer. It's only a layer that covers and it connects the dermis to the tissues and to the muscles of our body. It is not strictly a part of the skin, although the border between the hypodermis and dermis can be difficult to distinguish. The hypodermis consists of well-vascular, loose areolar connective tissue and adipose tissue, which functions as a mode of fat storage and provides insulation and cushioning for the integument. All right, so in here it states here that it's not part of the skin, because again, it's something that is transparent. So if you are going if you already are having your anaphy subject, so it's very hard to distinguish because it's somehow like connected to the dermis. However, its main purpose is actually to connect. Okay, it is consists of well-vascular, loose areolar connective tissues and adipose tissues, and its purpose is to store fat. All right, to to provide insulation, and also helps us with concussions. So in summary, here is what the parts of the skin looks like. So again, we have here the epidermis, the most outer part. We have here the dermis. So the epidermis here looks a lot more bigger than the first picture. All right, so we have here the hypodermis, and then in here we have here the blood vessels. Next to it, we have the connective tissue, the fats, as you can see there, the fats, the sweat glands, and the hair follicles. So if you wanted to look, okay, so other people, that's why they wanted to give you, or yes, tell you about if you wanted to lose weight, you have to exercise, because as you can see here, the hypodermis consists of fat. Okay. However, if again if you're going to have your physiology subject, you'll find that the dermis somehow is hard to distinguish to the hypodermis. Okay, and also if you're going to look at the lower part of the hypodermis, that's what it looks like. I mean, it looks so transparent to the if you're going to check it above the muscles. All right, so that is the parts of the skin in here. So again, we have the epidermis, the dermis, and then the hypodermis. So in this picture again, the epidermis looks a lot more smaller than the first one. Okay, and then the hypodermis in here consists of fats. Now let's go to the last bit. All right, so that's it for our video today. So if you have any questions, please let me know in our chat box in our FB Messenger group. So thank you very much. I'll be seeing you again next time. Bye for now.